Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Weeats, the marijuana something show here on YouTube. Today we are taking a look at a new contender, a new player in the vaping market, and even more specifically, another player with another battery in the pod line of THC vaping systems. So these are like your Stiiizy, your packs, your plug-and-play. They are not the standard 510s that you thread onto the batteries. These are the ones that you just drop into a little thing. Very much like the nicotine, what's it called? A Juul, just like Juuls, but for THC. So what brand are we talking about today? We are talking about iKon. We're going to take a look at the whole system here today, both we're going to review one of their pods, the Skywalker OG, as well as the whole iKon system, their battery, yada, 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 so on and so forth. The battery can be had for about the same price as any of the other baseline batteries. I think I've seen anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks, but you can usually get it, cheaper if you buy it with a pod, so on and so forth. So it's about in the same line as the baseline of the other pod-based systems. It might be a little bit cheaper than the Stiiizy Big or the PAX Era Prime, whatever they call the fancy PAX Era. It seems to have a 550 milliamp hour battery, which I think is a pretty decent size for a smaller battery like this. I think it's bigger than the Stiiizy, the original Stiiizy, which is like 350 maybe. So not a bad size. And iKon themselves, they say they pride themselves on their transparency and their quality products. So we'll see. Their website is devoted to all kinds of wonderful flowery bullshit like transparency is a cornerstone of our company culture. We meet the requirements of the California full panel compliance state testing to ensure our customers receive the safest vaping experience. Pretty boilerplate. But maybe there's something to it. We'll give it a try, and we'll give it the final verdict after we do the whole review. So let's go ahead and open up our battery here and hope that there's some charge in it. Would suck if there wasn't, not just for this review, but generally if you're buying these things, you want to use them pretty quickly, and you don't want to charge it. So here we go. Here is our iKon. It's about the same size as a Stiiizy, except it's wider, and it's definitely heavier, probably the larger battery. But it's squat, just like that, about the same size as the Stiiizy, maybe a little bit smaller, but squatter and a little bit heavier. Oh, now that's cool. This is the first one I've seen that has this. It is not USB, micro USB, it is USB-C. They're part of the future, thank God. I can't wait for everything to be USB-C, so that's a nice little plus for them. I'm sure it doesn't matter to a lot of you, but it's great that everybody's getting to a new standard, and USB-C is just undeniably better than micro USB. So that's a good point for them. Other than that, pretty basic. We've got your case and your battery charger, and that's about it. So pretty bare bones, but don't need a lot of extra stuff, and it keeps the price cheap. So here is the pod itself. This is a full gram pod, and I've seen them about 50 bucks is about what they run. So that's about in line with the Stiiizy, a little bit cheaper than the plug-and-plays and packs is, but right in line with the most popular Stiiizy. So let's go ahead and open it up. It gave me a press and slide. Just mangled it completely. Anyways, there is our packaging, pretty basic packaging, nothing too fancy, which is great. Not a lot of materials wasted. And on the back, we got a nice big lab testing results with our THC and CBD percentages at 77.5 and 1.1% CBD. Now for the most important thing itself, the actual little pod. And just like the Stiiizy, or just like the battery itself, it's squat, square, kind of fat looking. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off a little bit of cap. There the cap goes. And at the bottom you can see the little connectors for the battery. Assume it slides right in. Ah, that's nice. There's a little click to it. Let's see if you can hear that. There's a nice click. Stiiizy nor PAX has that, so you always, especially the PAXs, pods tend to come out pretty easily. This one's definitely in there. It's not going anywhere, and that click is pretty reassuring. So no button on it, just like the Stiiizy. Let's go ahead and give it a hit. It's a different little system here. By the way, it's kind of translucent, bordering on opaque, the sort of plastic covering the oil. But it does look like this two-chamber system, but it doesn't look like each is equally filled. It's hard to tell through there, and it's hard to really tell the color of the oil. But here we go. Here is our Skywalker OG from the iKon Premium Extract Pod-based system. Oh, wow, that is really nice. Wow. Excuse me for the coughing. I'm going to try to stop. And I forgot to hold my hit super long time. I know I'll get pinged for that. Very tasty. Wow. It definitely tastes like Skywalker, or the Skywalkers that I've had, but it's very smooth. One of the better sort of tasting, I assume, you know, there's no natural or unnatural flavors, artificial flavors. It does contain food grade flavor extracts, so maybe that is the response, but it's delicious. Nice easy draws, you don't have to pull very hard, comes right out. And yeah, again, the vapor itself is absolutely fantastic tasting. Moderate to big draws as well. Pretty big blast for a single draw there. Not as big as, say, a plug and play. I'd say a little bit, maybe Stiiizy, but a little bit bigger than a sort of Stiiizy draw. So no complaints there. As I said, again, the taste was exquisite. And in terms of potency, they label it at 77.5%. That definitely seems true. Feeling it quite nicely already after just 4 or 5 little hits there. This is a nice system. No problems with the iKon system, but we're just at the very beginning of our review here. We're going to review the whole thing, not just our first little impressions. So I'm going to finish this whole 1 gram Skywalker OG iKon pod. Probably take me about 5-6 days or so. And once I finish it, I will come back to you guys after that last hit and let you know about the whole experience. Make sure that this oil didn't start to burn, the battery didn't run out after 2 or 3 more hits, all that stuff, all the things that you know can go wrong with these battery vapes. I'm going to test the whole thing. Really looking forward to it. Nothing but good experiences so far, and I hope that that holds true for the rest of the pod. So until then, stay high, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys soon. Hello guys, welcome back to Weeats. It has been 6 days since I first started using the iKon pod-based weed THC, all those words, acronyms, system. After 6 days, it has finally run dry. Here's my little pod. You can see it is, well, mostly depleted of oil there. A little bit of residual residue, but it certainly feels spent to me. So, what do we think? I think my first half of the review was pretty positive, and that is still pretty true. This is a good little system. I like the design of the actual battery. I really like the design of the pods. I hit pretty well the entire time. Did get a little bit of that kind of burny taste towards the very bottom of the pod, but not too bad, and not for very long. It was only the last maybe 10 draws or so. But I really like how firmly it stays in place. That click system is nice. That little white LED is nice to see as well. Yeah, no complaints. Pretty good system. Additionally, again, I like the fact that it's USB-C, and I never had to charge this ever. It had enough juice in it out of the box, and the battery is large enough that it was good to go for this entire pot, which is really nice. You know, that you don't have to bother to deal with any of that, especially if you're on the run. So that is another good plus. It has enough juice for sure to run an entire gram pod. Even outside of the box, it was handled it no problem. So really no problems with it. And price-wise, just a quick little look online. Seems it's kind of in between the price of like Stiiizy and say PlugPlay or the higher end pod-based systems. Not quite as affordable as Stiiizy and not quite as expensive as some of the more primo ones. So, you know, it's not, certainly not terribly overpriced or anything like that. But that kind of does lead me to the one sort of thing that I would hesitate to tell you to pick it up. And that is just, I'm trying and failing to come up with what makes this stick out over any other system. You know, the PAX era system has a cool, much cooler vaporizer with more tech in it, and a cool little compatible app. The Stiiizy has ubiquity and price. It's usually pretty affordable, and it's everywhere. So if you get a Stiiizy pod or a Stiiizy battery, you're bound to find some Stiiizy pods really, you know, wherever you are in an area that sells weed. And then the plug-and-play or whatever is, you know, just a transcendent experience. You know, not that this is a slouch, it's just not as good as something like that. So this kind of doesn't have, I don't feel like it has as neat of a home, because it's not quite as ubiquitous as Stiiizy. I don't see it nearly as many places. I've seen it around. So it doesn't win on price. It doesn't win on ease, like being able to just, you know, buy pods wherever you are. And it's not as good of a vaporizer as the PAX, or not as strong as a PlugPlay. That is not to say that you should not try this or get this. That is just to say, if you're going to only invest in one of these or even two of these, give it some thought and start to think about, you know, the ups and downs. And again, the downs here are just simply, it's just not as ever present as the others, and it's just a little bit more expensive than Stiiizy. So, but on the whole, really did like it. 6 days of moderate use. Still enjoyed the flavor of the Skywalker OG up until the last 10 hits or so. So really a pretty good experience with the iKon based system. And before I go here, guys, before we wrap up this review, I wanted to share with you a little cherry on top, little something extra. It isn't necessarily weed related, but you can enjoy maybe on the weed or maybe without. Who knows? It's up to you. This week I'm going to share with you a multiplayer video game, something I don't really share too often. And this one is, while you can play it online, it has a very robust online features. It is the couch co-op game to end all couch co-op games. Not that we live in an era where couch co-op is easy, but something to look forward to, and you can play the online until then. And that is Killer Queen. Killer Queen Black, I think, is actually the name. It is a 8-person online multiplayer game, 2 teams of 4. There are 3 workers and 1 queen on each team. A variety of ways to win. Each round lasts like 90 seconds, 5 minutes max. I won't bore you with all the details, but it has that pick up and play thing. It's just a big 2D, looks and plays a lot like Joust back on the Atari or arcade from like the 80s and 70s. But anybody can pick it up and play it, but it's also very deep and it has a lot of different ways to get to victory. It is actually a spin-off of a local arcade game. Yes, an arcade game still being made, where it was a 10-player local giant 2-cabinet arcade machine, played with 10 players and big teams. I've unfortunately never got to play the actual bar arcade version, but the home version, which is on Switch, it's on PC, I think it's on PS4 as well, maybe, is Killer Queen Black. If you got some buddies and you want a great way to spend a couple of hours yelling and screaming at each other, give Killer Queen Black a chance. So guys, that's going to do it for this cherry on top. That's going to do it for the review, and that's going to do it for pretty much everything here. I want to thank you guys for watching. Staying tuned, listen to me rambling here. If you would, give me a follow on the Twitters at Weeats Reviews. I've been doing a lot of live streaming recently, a lot of it. And you should come hang out with us. We have a good time. And I'll post usually ahead on Twitter, both about reviews and upcoming live streams. So give me a follow there at Weeats Reviews. That'd be very nice. Until then, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you right back here for the next review. Take care.